Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, great to welcome back the Chair of the Otaki Community Board, Chris Papps. Good morning and welcome, Chris.
Good morning, John, and good morning, listeners.
You've got another meeting coming up of your community board. What's the story with grants in these COVID days?
Well, we've got a few grants being put forward for the next board meeting. One of them's for help towards school camp. I can't think what the others are, but there's only about 3 or 4, I think. And what's happening is because of COVID at the moment, we're not insisting that the applicants come in person to present their application for a grant. We will look at them and decide without them being there. Normally our board makes sure that people do come along, because I think that's an important part of the process, that we actually get to meet them, and also sometimes it helps us actually, it may sway us in the direction to actually give them a grant or not give them a grant, because they can actually answer a few questions, whereas we must all know, it doesn't really seem applicable, but when they come along, they put forward a really good argument or a good reason, and then they get quite often the full grant. So it is important that they do come when possible, but for this round, it's not going to be mandatory that they actually come and present themselves, because we do have to try and keep people separate. And on that note, we're not having any major presentations at this board meeting. We're trying to keep the agenda reasonably light so that people don't miss out on anything. So we're not having like the PP20 team there to give an update or anything like that, which is what we tend to do about every third or fourth meeting. So there's basically just the grants and the members' business, what we've been doing over the months, the meetings we've been to, and we report back to the other board members on that, and that's all reported on as well. So all of it will be in the local papers, so the public won't miss out on much, because it's all reported. We have both newspapers there taking notes and reporting, and also our minutes and everything are available online once they've been approved, so anybody can always read up on what's happened.
Fine. What about the long-term plan? I imagine the board makes some submissions along with other organisations to the long-term planning process.
Yes, we had a meeting of the board members last week just to discuss and throw around a few ideas about what we think we might put forward for the long-term plan. Bearing in mind this is a long-term plan, this is up to 20 years out, so we've got to think it's not immediate. So the things we're putting forward are things that may not have any action on them in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but in maybe year 6 or 7 it will come to fruition. So we're looking at the library at the moment. We're sort of thinking, well, the library's actually the community's outgrown our library, and that's a big project. And the Memorial Hall needs earthquake strengthening, so we're sort of trying to put something together that maybe we can do something to actually help with both aspects of it, the Memorial Hall side of it and the library. We've got a group of youngsters from Otaki College who want to come and put a submission to the board in regards to forming a youth hub in Otaki. They have got zeal down in Paraparaumu, but our youth say that's not good enough, and they can't get there. Although Zeal come up here and do the odd thing, they want something more permanent that they can call their own. So I'm meeting with the college students later this week, and then they will come and do a presentation to the board.
And the youth are a very high proportion of the population of Otaki, aren't they?
Well, they are, yes, and they really, there is a lot to do in Otaki, but not a lot when you're sort of looking at a teenager, and what they want to do is totally different to what we did as teenagers. So you can't compare it back to when we were their age. So and they just want a space they can call their own, where they can go and hang out and whatever, play on their phones or do computer things and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what these youngsters have to say, because they're very articulate now, and they're more forward-thinking than I think we were at their age as well.
Indeed. Going back to the Memorial Hall, my ears pricked up when you talked about the earthquake strengthening. That sounds like a big number. Any idea of costs for that?
No, we haven't got any idea, because that's fallen into the category also with the theatre up there. That's the same thing. They're perfectly safe, but they need to be brought up to standard at some stage within the next 10 years or something, I think it is. So it's not an immediate danger of falling over or anything like that, but it does need a certain amount of remedial work done. So as I said, the board's idea is that perhaps we look at a bigger picture where that's concerned.
Mm. Okay. Does that include the library? If we need a bigger library, you're looking at a multi-purpose kind of a new premise?
Basically, yes, maybe that, and that some of the other organisations could use as well, like for office space, like CAB and the food bank and things like that. Sort of looking at something more to cover a lot of the other organisations in Otaki as well, but to extend the library, because the library is great, but we have really outgrown it. Otaki has grown, and it's going to grow even more once the expressway is through. I noticed down Wairinga Road the other day, there's a whole new subdivision going in down there, and I don't know how many houses it's going to be, but it's quite large.
Wow, how about that? Yes, as you say, it certainly is growing. And the thing about this long-term process, as I understand it, you've really got to get at least a mention in the long-term plan to be able to progress it later on, because they'll say the big blocking thing that people say is, oh, it's not in the long-term plan. So you've got to get it in there, don't you?
We do. So anything big that we're thinking about, the big picture stuff, we do need to get it into the long-term plan. And then, let's say, a few years down the track, it should come to fruition. That's what happened with the Otaki pool. So thanks to our board councillor at the time, Penny Gaylor, and James, who was chair of the community board, they got the pool into the long-term plan, and that's why our pool was upgraded, and it's a great facility it is now.
Indeed. And this is the importance of people submitting, getting up there. I know it takes time and it's a pain and all that sort of thing, but it's really important, particularly at the long-term plan part of the process, to get there to make your point, because unless, as we've just said, unless it's in the long-term plan, it's not going to happen.
That's right, and it's got to be in the long-term plan. This is why with these young kids from Otaki College, that they're going to come and present to the board first, and then hopefully we'll get them along to present to the full council. And I think it'll be better coming from them than coming from me, because they can articulate exactly what they want. What I see as being something for youth maybe totally opposite to what they see, which probably would be. So it's very important that they come and let us know what they want and what they envisage for the youth of tomorrow, what's going to be happening in Otaki.
And you know what I love about that? It means that the youth are beginning to work out how democracy works, where the levers are, and they're determined to pull them. And I say good on them for that.
Absolutely. They're great. A lot of the youth we've got today, they're forward thinking, and They know what they want and where they're going, which is fabulous.
It is too. We've got this wonderful thing called the Youth Council, and I've been along there a few times, and I must say, they're just fantastic meetings. And I know there's a number of people in the older generations who say, oh, the kids of today, they're not anything like the quality we were. Well, I tend to disagree, people. We've got some fantastic young people in this community, and I think they're going to make it even greater in years to come.
I think that, and it's a different sort of quality, John.
Yes, I think so.
Because they've got a whole different world out there than we had. They've got bigger horizons than we had. It's there's more things happening, and there's a few scary things happening for them too. So, and they seem to be handling it very well. And we get these the youth coming along to the community board presenting. And I've seen them come to council and present to a full council meeting. And they're very articulate and they're very sure of themselves. And they know exactly where they're going. And I think that's fantastic.
So do I. Chris, this has been great. Thank you very much for your company this morning. Always appreciated. You're always welcome here on Beach FM.
Thank you very much, John.
106.3 Beach FM.